Hello and welcome to It's My Why by Arpita. My name is Arpita and namaste to my lovely audience. So after a long time, I finally got a chance to make a video and I've been getting several messages on my Instagram, on YouTube. So first of all, I encourage all of you to comment on YouTube because so that everyone else can get benefit out of it, because I haven't started any personal like one-on-one sessions or consultations as yet. Because I hardly get any time. I'm working full time as a physio team leader. Then on weekends, sometimes I do one-on-one, home visits. So yeah, that's Sunday is the only day that I get. And today's, I thought maybe I'll answer some of your questions as I was getting like several message requests. So I thought maybe I'll try to answer some of those questions in this video. So yeah, so I'm gonna start. So before I start that, I'm just going to share, or maybe I should make a separate video about what's the actual difference between standard assessment pathway. I've made a separate video about APEP, which is a new Australian physiotherapy entry pathway. Earlier, they used to be like standard assessment pathway, which is there are quite a few differences between the new one and the old one. And the new pathway, I think, is much better because in this, you have the major advantage is like you don't have clinical assessment. Instead of that, they have like a capability assessment and a clinical workshop. So that's the major difference. And earlier there was no option like you have for clinical assessment, which I personally gave, and I gave it like old pattern, which was in the hospital. Like I got two different hospitals for my 3 exams. Royal Brisbane Hospital and Princess Alexandra Hospital is where I have actually given those clinical assessment, like for cardio, neuro, musculo, and they were like 3 different exams, which was way tougher than what they have done now. So now the major advantage is that in this capability assessment, it is like a face-to-face online exam. So you still have the option of giving this from wherever you are. You can approach both written assessment and capability assessment. Only for clinical workshop at the end, you'll have to come to Melbourne, which is like a workshop where they'll train you, or it will be a group session and one-on-one session, which is a great opportunity to learn and interact with other physiotherapists as well, so which is great. Anyway, so that's the major difference, but I'm going to cover that in a separate video. In this video, I want to ask some of your questions, so I'm gonna take those questions. So Jobin Singh, you are contacting me on Instagram. I'm not very active on Instagram, but YouTube is where I try to make videos and answer your doubts. So if you could comment on YouTube, that would be great, so that people can know your questions, and then I'll try to answer those. If you ask me like simple questions instead of like the specific question, I'll be able to like answer clearly. So try to ask precise questions so that I can give you answer here. Anyway, so hi Jobin. You have said that you're Jobinpreet Singh from Punjab, India. I'm just reading your message. I actually passed my 12th class in this year with 86%. Congratulations to you in CBSE board, and I also give NEET exam and scored 315 marks. That's great. So I want to ask you more about life of physiotherapists in Australia. Please reply me, ma'am. So yeah, I am replying you here. I've replied you on Insta as well. So since I haven't started one-on-one face-to-face consultation as yet, so yeah, so that's why briefly I've made several videos on YouTube whenever I get chance. This year I haven't been very active because I had my like personal reasons where I was very busy, and then when I came back to Australia, I went to India for 2 months, and then I had a family emergency, then I came back here, and then I'm back to normal life now. So I'm trying to answer your questions. I just get one day, Sunday. So yeah, I'm trying to make a video and I'm just trying to answer your question here. So if you want to ask about more about life of physiotherapy in Australia, I've made several videos about it. Whether it's salary, what do you want to know? If it's salary, I've made a video about salary, which you can go and see that video and check it out. I've made several videos about the process. So earlier there used to be standard assessment pathway. Now there's for the registration for practicing. If you are willing to practice as a physiotherapist in Australia, now they have APEP pathway, which is very important for you to understand if you want to become a physiotherapist in Australia and practice as a physiotherapist in Australia. So that is a clear pathway. Once you complete that, and you can start preparing for that from India as well, then you can think about if you're willing to be a physiotherapist, if you want to practice here, there's a lot of scope and there are a lot of great things you can do. And be more specific in your question next time so that I can try to answer that in my upcoming videos. Okay, so yeah, everything is on my channel, but if you have like specific question, then I can answer you those. Okay, moving on to Shikha. Hello, I've been watching your YouTube videos and finding them very informative about APC. Thank you, Shikha. I've completed my BPT in India and I'll be moving to Australia in 2026 to pursue Master of Public Health or MPT practice. I'm also interested in taking the APC exam, but I'm unsure which books to study from. Could you recommend some resources? Okay, Shikha, so if you're coming, already you have a plan in mind. You're coming to Australia to pursue Master of Public Health, which is great. But if you want to pursue your physiotherapy in the background, you can do that as well. So regarding books, I'll make a separate video about it because it'll take long. There's no specific answer I can give you, just go for this or go for that. It is more like, the exams that they take, it's more like practical sessions. So you have an MCQ based exam where you have like multiple choice question, which is very, according to me, that's very doable exam, easy to give that exam. After that, you have that capability assessment. So there, I think it'll be more about like specific formats. You should be good with the formats, like how to ask question. Your assessment should be thorough. So it's more like practical information, but I will try to make a video about specific books, which I don't think I went like thoroughly through I think I did more of like one-on-one practice sessions because I had like different pattern during my time. So it was more about the format. Your assessments need to be thorough. What interventions are you going to give? What treatment you're going to give? So I practice differently, but I think I will try to answer some of the books in a separate video. Okay. Now moving on, I have so many message requests, but I'm not very active on Instagram, but I'm trying to include your questions because they're related to my channel here. So yeah, in these Q&As, I think are a great way to answer some of these questions. Okay, Pratham Garg, Dr. Pratham Garg. Hello, ma'am. Hello, Pratham. I hope this message finds you well. It did. I'm Pratham Garg, a fresh BPT graduate from New Delhi. There's a big name of the university, which I think you know from where you are. Currently, I'm practicing at a private clinic in New Delhi. But right now, I'm very much disappointed after experiencing the deteriorating condition of physiotherapists in our country. And now I'm seeking for abroad opportunities. After a lot of self-research, I'm convinced to go for APC, which is a great decision. I think I should definitely appreciate that decision of yours. Can you please help out to get a clear picture of current scenario of APC? And how shall I proceed as per today's standards? Or anything that you can guide me best according to your experience in Australian work culture. Looking forward to hearing from you, ma'am. Okay, so since you have decided and I think I appreciate when someone tells me specifically that I have decided. That is the main thing, because the start of the journey, you can do anything, but that moment when you decide, oh, this is what I want to pursue. I want to practice I want to be a physiotherapist in Australia, or this is my specific goal. This is what I want to achieve. I think you need that clarity, because a lot of people ask me these 100 different questions, but I like that you started from, okay, this is what I have decided, and you're asking how to go about it. So yes, I've made several videos. So if you have decided to practice as a physiotherapist in Australia, the first thing I'm going to tell you, as you mentioned that in India, yes, in certain sectors you get like decent salary, but not everywhere. But there's a big difference if I compare like average salaries. So there's a big difference between standard of living and salaries that you get after, if you want to pursue physiotherapy in India versus Australia, you get like a really good salary here, which is hard to get in India, I guess. So yeah, if you want to pursue your physiotherapy in Australia, definitely check out the APEP pathway. That is the pathway you should be starting with. So go to APC website, Australian Physiotherapy Council website. That's the first step you should be doing. You can also check out APRA, okay? And then once you go to APC website, you should just read more about APEP, which is a new pathway to become registered physiotherapist in Australia. So if you want to become a physiotherapist in Australia, you will need the registration. How will you get the registration? You go to APC website. You finish all the step. I've made several videos about it, about eligibility assessment, the different parts of it, and I've made several videos about it, which you'll find in my channel. And recently, they have updated their pathway. So now there's a new pathway which is called Australian Physiotherapy Entry Pathway, and that is something you should be knowing about. So do your research, and if you have specific question about it, feel free to post that in my channel, and I will answer those questions based on how specific. Just ask specific question, and I can help you with that. All right. Now, Nabil Khan. Hi, ma'am. Dr. Nabil, physiotherapist from India. Hello. I hold an APC entrance certificate seeking job in Australia. I really need your guidance. Kindly let me know how I can contact you. Thank you. Waiting for your response. So, hi, Nabil. You can unfortunately, I haven't started like one-on-one sessions, so I'm not doing like one-on-one consultations as yet. But you've gotten your APC interim certificate. That's great. You know, earlier, like 5 years back or 6 years back, when I started doing it in 2017, 2018. So at that time, it was easier to get sponsorship. It was easier to get jobs on limited registration, but that's not the case anymore. But the good news is that they have changed and updated their Australian physiotherapy, you know, the assessment pathway. They have updated from the standard assessment to a new pathway. For now, my best advice would be, since not many companies are sponsoring, they were sponsoring before, and there might be like some of the companies which are still giving sponsorship, and you know, they're still providing sponsorship and getting people from different countries, and that used to be like simple step before, but that has become lesser now. So now I think the best thing would be to get the final certificate to complete the whole registration process, which is easier now because you don't have to come for clinical assessment to Australia. You can do clinical assessment from your own country, wherever you are. You can do it from there, and that option is a game changer. Only once you finish all your exams and you clear exams, at the end there's a clinical workshop for which you'll have to come to Melbourne, because that workshop will be like in person workshop at the end. But that's more like a great opportunity to, you know, liaise and to socialize with other physios, and then you can make a plan about, you know, how you want to go about getting a job here and stuff like that. So yeah, so let me know whether you can after APC interim certificate, basically you're asking how to get jobs here, right? So that has become difficult, let me be very honest with you, but it has become much easier and doable. The better option and the perfect option in long term, whatever is going to benefit you long term, would be that you should first just go for APEP pathway straight away, complete that pathway, and then look for jobs, because that will be much easier instead of searching for job on limited registration in today's situation. Okay, now Avdoot Wag, I'll take one more question and then I'll make a part 2 of this Q&A sessions, because I don't like to make like long videos. I like to finish it in like 10 minutes, but it's already 15 minutes. I'll take one more. Avdoot Wag. Hello, ma'am. I'm a physiotherapist. I graduated in October 2025. Congratulations, Avdoot. Currently, I'm working part-time as a pulmonary rehabilitation therapist with Portia Medical, which is a home care setup. And I have around 4 months of experience there. This is my role at the moment, which is great. I want to know one thing. What do recruiters generally value more? The type of work setting, clinical versus hospital versus home care, or the total years of experience? So let me break down your question. So first, to answer this specific question, what do they value more? It depends on where you are applying for the job. If you are applying for a job in hospital setting, of course, they're going to value your hospital experience more than anything. If you're applying in a home care setting, then they mention in, you know, when they publish a advertisement, they mention like home care experience, like 2 years of home care experience or 3 years of home minimum experience. That's highly regarded, so they mention there. So depending on the setting where you are applying, they value experience more than anything else in Australia. Of course, you need your standard like initial registration. You need your registration to start with, so that you can legally work as a physiotherapist here. That's the number one thing. Second would be experience. So it's not like they need like 10 years, depending on the role, of course, but in every advertisement where you are applying, if it's a home care setting, for example, there's a good scope. Let me mention this point as well, since you have that background. So recently there are changes, the age care system, the funding system, the government has updated all of that, and they've done review of that, and there are new changes that have come up in age care sector as well. So in home care, the good news is that there's a new support at home program where the physiotherapy aspect comes under the funding which is covered by the government. So physiotherapy comes in the clinical section, so which is nursing, physiotherapy. They have mentioned it specifically that the funding for that will be covered by the government for the new support at home program, which is a home care setup. So there's all these jobs, earlier they used to publish for aged care, now they have slightly moved to the home care category depending on the funding. So everything changes according to the funding, of course. So if the government has provided like clear funding for home care, so I think the more jobs are moving from aged care to home care in 2026 in Australia. So yeah, so what do they experience more? They experience what do they value more? They value your experience more than anything. Okay. Now, and the specific job role, if it is like, so physiotherapist comes under their different awards. So they come under Health Professional and Support Services Award, which is under review as well. So Fair Work Commission of Australia is reviewing that award, and there'll be like new changes coming where they'll be updating the classification structure and the salaries and everything. So yeah, that is underway as well. So once that's done, I'll make a separate video about it. They will do it by June of this year. So yeah, there are a lot of revolution and changes, all of that is happening, which is in Australia that keeps on happening. Things change, and then they keep on updating systems. But yeah, it's great if you have home care background. There's a good value especially in the home care sector if you're planning to apply there. Now further, you're asking, I wanted to know one thing: what do recruiters generally value more? So I've answered that. Does the setting make a significant difference in hiring decision, and approximately how many years of experience are considered sufficient? Do you think I should consider joining a hospital setup at this stage to strengthen my profile for Australia? So again, depending on your goal, like if you Avdut, if you want to work in hospital setting in Australia, then you should focus on getting more experience in hospital, like working in hospital. But if you have home care background and you're planning to work in the home care setting in Australia, then you just keep working and keep building experience on that. Okay, so it depends on where you're going, and they will of course value your experience more in that sector. Like for example, if you have experience in working in a clinic, but now you're applying in home care, they will value that clinic experience. But instead of that, if you mention that, okay, I've worked in home care for like 2-3 years or 4 years or whatever, they're going to value that more than your degree, like master's degree. A lot of people ask me this question: I have masters, whether that's going to affect my salary, this and that. I can answer that question again, that's a different topic. But in Australia, they value experience more than any master's degree. So that's one thing you should definitely keep in mind. Okay, so I hope I have answered some of your questions. So I've covered like 5 people. I have several, there are many people who have messaged me, and I can't cover all of that in one video, but I'll try to make like part 2 and hopefully part 3 of this Q&A session. If you have any other comments, just comment down below. Comment your specific question, like straight, simple, specific question that I can answer in my upcoming videos. And I hope you like this video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, comment, share and subscribe. I will see you in my next video. Till then, goodbye.